Emily, would you mind pulling at least the right door to that glare is bad coming off that tile.
Yeah.
It's like all silhouettes out there. All right, it's 6 o'clock. We will go ahead and get started. Councilmember Ray, would you lead us, please?
Let us pray. Father, we thank you once again for the officer around bringing us to them. Thank you to us for God's particular visit for the city of Jacksonville and its residents. In the name of Jesus, we ask and pray, Lord. Amen. Amen. Join in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this evening. Welcome to Jacksonville City Council for August 7th. And we'll roll call, please.
Councilmember Dietz.
Here.
Rupel.
Here.
Cleary. McCoy. Here. Ray.
Here.
McGraw.
Here.
Moss.
Here.
Twitty. Here. Hinman. Here. Mims.
Here.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
All present.
All right, thank you very much. Before you have the minutes from our July 17th meeting. Be studying those, looking at those for next time for approval. But at this time, we will entertain a motion to approve our minutes from the July 3rd meeting. Have a motion.
Second.
Multiple seconds. All in favor of adopting those, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by nay? Thank you very much. Consent agenda. You've got that before you had it in your packet. If there are no questions or anything about the, I'm sorry, there was not a consent agenda in your packet. Please forgive me. So we're moving on. General business. Right now we will move, it is 6:02. We will move into a time of public hearing for the fiscal year 25 CDBG annual action plan, which is included in your packet. And Michelle Spencer, please, the floor is yours.
Okay. Hello, beautiful people of Jacksonville.
Hello. Hello.
Mayor, council members, and city comrades. I can't read with my glasses. They are far away. This public hearing is being held in accordance to our citizen participation plan as it relates to the annual action plan process. We are currently in our 5th year of our 5-year consolidated plan from 2021 to 2025. All public notices were advertised in the Leader, and a draft of the plan was posted on the website in various locations for review. 3 public meetings were held in June, and we had a total of 25 attendees. 20 surveys were collected, and all results can be found within the plan on pages 40 and 41. The 30-day public comment period was July the 2nd through the 31st. During the period, we received 1 comment and as well as a request for a meeting, which was a very interesting and well thought out meeting. We had some questions and answers that went back and forth, and it was explained in more detail. And you can see those comments on page, I believe, 39. You'll notice in the comments the eligible CDBG activities are notated, and the comments mentioned more than once are also notated. I will be discussing the comments not related to community development with other department leads so that they are aware in order to obtain possible solutions to those comments. Please note there will be an additional advertisement insert dated August the 6th, as well as 1 more clearance letter that will be sent from one of the state clearing officers on next Monday. Both will be added prior to the submission on or before August the 13th, as well as any corrections that are needed. Any questions so far? I'll cover a few logistics on behalf of program year 2025. We will allocate $55,729 to housing and housing administration, $15,000 to create a suitable living environment, eliminating slum and blight, $15,000 to economic development to create jobs or provide training, $80,000 to public facility improvements with the emphasis on repairs to public facilities, and a community garden project. $38,245 to public service, which is a 15% cap of the overall total, and $50,994 to administration, which has a 20% cap, Total of anticipated resources for 2025 is $254,968. We had a late start on 2024's award, which was released in January of 2025, as I've stated in previous meetings. We are currently expending the 2024 funds and will continue to steadfast to expend those funds moving forward. We have accomplished so far this year rehab projects and demos, as well as public facility improvements. We will be knocking out additional home rehabs and public improvement activities to finish out the year strong. Since I have your attention, I would like to touch base on a few milestones during my tenure that I'm excited about. Did you know during the program year 2022, we received $219,338, which was a 6% increase from 2021. Did you also know in 2023, we received $227,969, which was a 4% increase from 2022. In 2024, we received $230,739, which was only a 1% increase from 2023. Now, last but not least, 2025, we will receive $254,968, which is an increase of 11% from 2024. Please note, the difference from 2020's allocation to this year's allocation is an increase of 21% over the 5 years. I would say that's a very positive accomplishment for Jacksonville, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
Considering how much across the nation so many cities have experienced cuts in their CDBG award allocations. However, despite those cuts across the nation, we, Jacksonville, have progressively increased over the years. I say that's a little applause. I'll point out that I've finalized mandated reports successfully, which include 2022, 2023, 2024's Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, which is better known as CAPER, the 2023 and 2024 Annual Action Plan of the 5-year Consolidated Plan. That's a mouthful, right? And most recently, we've successfully processed the 2025 Annual Action Plan. Also, reallocated the 2020 Substantial Amendment to the Annual Action Plan for COVID funds, and finally, just finally today, received local HUD representatives on the go-ahead to be able to start processing that after 3 years, which is well overdue. I've also administered each grant successfully through projects, programs, and services on behalf of the very low to low-income residents of Jacksonville. Administer projects after the disaster to assist citizens with damages to their homes from the storms in 23 and 24. I'm currently seeking to apply for disaster recovery funds to further assist the residents who were significantly affected by the storms and have not gained home stability as of today's date. More information to come about that. You all, these reports are usually outsourced to contractors in most cities. We were blessed to be able to contract with the previous director due to her years of experience in order to finalize the 2021, the 2022 Annual Action Plan, and the 2021 CAPER prior to my start date, and we didn't have to outsource. Since my tenure, all annual reports and end-of-year reports have been completed by yours truly, which is usually above and beyond the skill set from a new director, and contracting is a must most times. I said all that to say, while it's a very demanding task, the achievements are very rewarding for me. When I can see the fruits of my labor manifest itself in increases in our annual allocations each year, which ultimately helps more of our low to moderate income families and citizens, it's worth every moment I spend. I have in front of me a very big decision to make regarding preparations for our next 5-year con plan, which will be due in 2026 and will cover the years of 2026 through 2030. Do I contract out, or do I take on this very prodigious task? That's the question. With lots of time and preparation, I veer more to the latter, and will share the decisions later in the year. So you all pray for me. Meanwhile, I'll be seeking a software contractor to convert all existing future files and all our application processes over to an electronic database in preparation of future programming to be added under the umbrella of community development. I will start to vet software vendors to assist with the filing and online databases we are currently needing. At this time, the software contractor will take the place of a part-time specialist. We will definitely explore hiring a specialist after the 2026 5-year con plan is finalized and our electronic system is up and running efficiently and effectively. Also, I'm excited to share the name of our new sub-recipient partnership that I will pass the 2024 Public Service baton to, which is Jacksonville Community Worship Center, who will continue, I repeat, continue to provide services to the residents of Jacksonville by way of food distribution, utility assistance, and temporary shelter assistance. They have been thoroughly trained and come with a wealth of experience and will start to administer funds soon. They will be presenting next on the agenda on all the service they currently provide and will be providing to the community. Moving forward, we will announce through a request for proposals, which is a RFP, for the 2025 subrecipient public service application process to allow an opportunity for all organizations to apply for public service funding who wants to. Please note, in order to apply, you would need to be an existing productive organization in Jacksonville for at least 1 year and be registered and in good standing with the nonprofit status, among other requirements. I've covered quite a bit, you all, and will now yield the floor for any questions you may have. Thank you. Any questions?
Anything for Michelle?
Outstanding work.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, it is now 6:13, closing this time of public hearing for the annual action plan. So, Michelle, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, moving on with CDBG subrecipient, as Michelle was just mentioning. So would you like to make an introduction there? You kind of just did, but.
Yes. Come on up, Miss Thomas.
Welcome.
Thank you. Well, good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Greetings to the mayor, city council, and the citizens of Jacksonville. Great to see you all here tonight. I am Sandra Thomas. I am the operations manager for the Jacksonville Community Worship Center Food Pantry. We started our pantry here in Jacksonville in 2017 at the West Hickory, 500 West Hickory location where the new restaurant now resides. If you've ever been there and saw the platform there, that's where we used to preach from. That location gave us a presence to the unsheltered individuals that were walking through the shopping area where Suku Unique Furniture Store was. That's who we rented our church from. And they would stop into our building requesting food assistance or any kind of help. That location allowed us to be able to provide emergency food to citizens of Jacksonville. We put citizens up in the Jacksonville Inn. We provided utility assistance. We were able to give clothing for adults and children, and we provided family counseling from that location, 500 West Hickory. In 2018, we moved to 424 Church Street, where we are at the corner of Church and Smart. The services, let me back up, the services we provided at 500 West Hickory were provided through donations from families, businesses that we partner with, and our friends and our congregations. At 424 Church Street, we continue to provide food and emergency support in addressing hunger and needs of families. Prior to 2025 of this year, Jacksonville Community Worship Center, through the partnership we have with the Arkansas Food Bank, has provided 125,000 pounds of food. In April of this year, 2025, we were able to become a host agency with the Mount Pisgah Baptist Church. Amen. And Mount Pisgah is now being sponsored by us, and we are their host agency, and they're able to also purchase food from the Arkansas Food Bank. There was an event in the city with the apartment complex down Marshall Road where the residents were out of utilities for 16 days straight. When we got the information and the call, which we do provide emergency food, we provide emergency food today. We got on the ball, my husband and I, and we loaded 2 truckloads of food and drove them to the Marshall Road Baptist Church. Marshall Road was very kind, and they accepted the food items. They were non-perishable and perishable items. And because there were no utilities in the apartments, they stored the food at Marshall Road in their freezers and in their storeroom. So as of today, we're in communications with Marshall Road because now they want us to host them as a food pantry. So we are on the road and on the ball doing what we do. I also want you all to know the food boxes. You've seen the food boxes at different locations in Jacksonville. Those boxes are supplied by a nonprofit organization called Shelter from the Rain. And the director of Shelter from the Rain is here, Miss Mary Snyder. And this one individual, along with some other citizens of Arkansas, go out and put items of food in those little boxes every day. We have to, counsel her about going out by herself. But we partnered with her because it's such a great task, and she's doing such a great work for the community that she can now come to our pantry and get food to go and make sure that those boxes stay full. And she'll post on her page when it's empty. She'll post on her page the same day when she goes out and fill those boxes. And so we're about continuing our partnership with churches, nonprofits to assist and share in meeting the needs of the citizens of Jacksonville. We've done partnerships with the NAACP, with healthcare facilities, with Master Gardeners. The NAACP, we partnered with them with this big health initiative on our parking lot for the citizens of Jacksonville, and it was a very great event. We had city officials there, fire department, and the police department, and Miss Michelle came, and they were all there to support what we're doing in the city of Jacksonville. And with this public service funding, we aim to make a significant impact, ensuring that no child, no family will be subjected to being hungry or homeless. And I would like to add, as I close, regardless of the size, no one church, no one business, no one nonprofit can reach everyone in our city that needs assistance. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. We appreciate that greatly. So thank you very much for what you're doing in our community and what you will continue to do in our community. So thank you. Moving on, next we have ordinance 1793, establishing a hybrid city council seat structure. Councilmember McCoy, I believe this is your sponsor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Elmore. So before we dive into discussion around this as council members, I do want to mention a couple of things, especially returning and finding that there was racial discord injected into just an at-large voting question. I think that as council members, we just have to be open to have the conversation around it and not skew or push it to one side over another, because this does impact the entire city of Jacksonville, all of the citizens. And I have before me petitions signed, half of them, over 50 in my hand now, for people who want at-large voting to be dismantled. There was polling on Facebook that showed that ward-based only was the preferred way to go. So hybrid was a fair compromise. But I have since then learned after returning that what people would like is for it to be ward-based only, as opposed to trying to hybrid because of the confusion that it could cause. And from that, I understand that many of us don't want to vote on this because we don't feel that it is our responsibility, that we should shift that to the people. However, I think that's more personal. As politicians, as lawmakers, it does fall on us to make those decisions. That's why we were voted in to the seats that we're voted into to represent, to make decisions for. But regardless of how we move forward with this, I hope that this can be a time of actual discussion, us to have a conversation about it and not just push it aside. So that's my introduction to this, and let's get started.
So with that being said, then entertain a motion to place ordinance 1793 on first reading.
I make a motion that we place ordinance number 1793 on first reading.
Okay, we have a motion, second, please.
I have a clarification. We
Yes.
have two ordinances, 1793. Which one are you talking about? Because one is
There-
structured for position one as ward-based and position two at large. The second one is position one
For
at
the
large
reversal.
and the reversal.
Okay.
Yes, and that was if we were to move forward with the hybrid. It's already in writing, depending on how, if there was a coin toss. But again, I think people would rather not see the hybrid, so we can just pick one to have the conversation around.
Yeah.
All right, then it will be the first one that's
That's
listed
fine.
in the, so in your packet, it is the first
So
one.
that's gonna be position one.
That will be position one, ward-based, and position two, at large. Yes, ma'am. So we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Deets. Rupel.
Aye.
McCleary. McCoy.
Aye.
Ray.
No.
LeBron.
Aye.
Moss.
Aye.
Whitty.
I need to make sure I'm clear right now. We are voting to read it.
This is to place it on first reading, yes.
Aye.
Kinman. Aye. Mims. Aye.
we're on first reading. An ordinance establishing a hybrid city council seat structure designating position 1 as ward-based and position 2 as at-large and for other purposes. Now you may discuss.
Discussion.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I have done some research on this since when we had last city council meeting. And way back in '76, ordinance 420 was placed before the council about ward-based voting. It was not acted upon because the council person was not in attendance, so it wasn't acted upon. The next time this came to the council was in 2021, ordinance 1661. It was voted down as well. I will say that I am, if I do not think this is a council decision. I think it should go to the voters. But I am in favor of ward-based voting, but I just think that is a decision that should go to the citizens if we're going to change how we structure city government. But I will say that this is not the first time this has come up. So I just wanted to present that to the council members, that this is not the first time it's come up, and this has been a couple of times, like I said, beginning back in '76 and all the way through 2021.
Other comments, questions?
So in thinking about placing this on a ballot, writing it up in 8th grade, of course, reading level, is that something that's how it has to be written? That's required. You may not know, but that is how it's required. You do have to do that. Is that the work of the council? Will we be taking that on?
You would need to pass an ordinance that places it on the ballot.
Okay. So if we do not decide to actually change that, because I do understand those who have a position of thinking that it falls on the citizens, but it is something that we can decide, otherwise they wouldn't have said that we had to decide by August 31st. Then we would need to place an ordinance or introduce an ordinance for that to go on the ballot. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, so we would all have to vote for that ordinance to, in order for it to be placed on the ballot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Is that the direction that council wants to go?
I would agree with it.
I would agree with it.
We need a
Well, I
motion.
was like, well, we actually we're in the middle of this one right now, so we can't.
Just part of the discussion.
Okay.
Just wanting to see where everyone stands on that. If we're saying that we want it to go as council members, if we're saying that we want that to be the decision of citizens, then are we willing to do that work to ensure that citizens have the opportunity to vote on that? That's all I'm asking.
I'm gonna say I'm not wanting to put it on the ballot. I don't want to put it on there personally because I think it's a conflict of interest to tell the public how to vote for me. So with that being said, I am not in favor of putting it on the ballot. I think it needs to be on the ballot. I think the citizens need to be able to say how they want to vote. I personally am working for the citizens of Jacksonville, not my ward. I'm working for all wards. And I made that clear at the last meeting as well, so. that's all I have.
The way it's written now, it would never change, so position 1 would always be ward-based, and it would.
That would be subject to action by the city council at that point in time.
And the thing is that's just an introduction. The ordinance that we have today, of course, that could be changed to all ward-based and not based on ward position 1, position 2. But I do want to go back to the not necessarily wanting to put that on the ballot. So we want the citizens to decide, and making it in a ballot, adding it to the ballot, doesn't say we're telling them how to vote for us, right? Does it more so say you have the option to choose how you want to vote, as opposed to me saying that because it's on the ballot, I'm telling you how to vote?
No, I'm not saying that I'm telling you how to vote. I'm saying I personally don't think that, I personally do not want to put it on the ballot. You can put it on the ballot, you can get the signatures and put it on the ballot. I'm not for that. because I'm for at large.
Oh, you are
That's-
for at large.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
not a secret, so I made that clear at the last meeting, so. And this has come up multiple times in council.
The ballot issue would be to either vote for, depending on what you decide, the ballot issue would be to vote for at-large or a hybrid or all ward. So whatever y'all would decide would be what the ballot issue is. That only sets up the structure of voting. It doesn't tell anyone how to vote.
That's true, but if the council puts it on there, I'm not for that, so I would not vote to put it on it. If somebody, a separate group wants to put it on, an individual wants to do it, and they want to put it on the ballot, I think it needs to be done that way. If you're for that, I'm not for it, so that's what I'm saying.
So are you saying you're not for them having the option to choose
I'm
if
not
they want
for-
to be at-large, hybrid, or ward-based? You're
I'm
not for them
I'm not
deciding that.
for putting it on. I, city council member, am not willing to vote to put it on the ballot. I'm not saying that if if that's the way it goes, and I think people should have that choice, but I'm not willing to vote to put it on there.
Not willing to give them the choice, correct?
No, I'm not saying I'm not willing to vote to put it on there.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
are we on the timeline here
For discussion,
for deciding on at-large, ward, are we on timeline? Who's timeline?
There is a
It-
timeline.
Timeline for the state?
There is a
State
timeline.
timeline.
Their timeline is 8, so it was passed earlier this year in the Senate that council has to decide or should decide by August 31st. It has to be on the desk of the county clerk. So again, that tells us that it does rest on the council to make that decision.
other comments, questions?
Does the ordinance have to be approved and adopted and on the desk by August 31st?
Correct.
If this is, hypothetically, if this is, wouldn't this need an emergency clause to get there by August 31st?
For it to, yes,
To
it
go
would
into
have to.
effect, it would.
We have no city attorney tonight, so.
Another council meeting.
We do have another council meeting.
Okay.
The deadline for August 31st is if you pass an ordinance tonight which directs some form of change in the voting process. If y'all decide to put it on the ballot, that does not hold the same deadline.
If the council votes in majority to put it on the ballot, does that cost the city any, what does that cost the city?
Well, there will be a share.
Mhm.
There'll be a share in the election cost.
And would it go on the 2028,
It would go on the general election,
the general,
election.
which,
November date.
November, okay.
Do we not have an election November 26th?
Yes, there is an election
election.
November, yes, next year.
Could it not go on there for that?
Timeline, I do not know how, I know for it to go on the ballot next year, well, excuse me, I'm sorry, it would not go on the ballot for if the city council were to approve the ordinance as presented, that means it would take effect and in November of next year, chair one would be vote by ward. At large, I'm sorry. Whatever it is, the at large would start next year if it were approved by the council. If it is not, then there would have to go through the process of putting it on the ballot, which means I don't know, this is where I would have to talk to the election commission unless somebody else knows off the top hand what the timeline is on doing that, when the deadlines are for adding something like this. So
Well,
I'm not educated enough in that too, because that's a county thing with the election commission.
As I sit here with this discussion, you can all see my phone, the texts that are coming in about the population of the city of Jacksonville needs to make this decision. So I've always said I think it should be on the ballot. I don't think 10 council members quoted me in the paper that we should make that decision. I think it should go on the ballot. Now, what you have to do to get it on the ballot, I do not know. But the texts that are coming in right now to me you want to leave up to the entire population of the city to vote for the leadership of the city. So that's my stance on it. It needs to go onto the ballot, whether it's in 26 or 28. We have been voting like this for 100+ years. I don't know what the emergency is. If there's an agenda for this happening now, I don't have a clue. But in this discussion, my opinion is it needs to go on the ballot.
Yeah, I understand that. I will say that there is no agenda, but the unfairness of it, what I've received text messages over the last 3 weeks, none while I was gone, but at least 3 weeks ago, where people wanted to remain at large because they don't think that if it goes ward-based, that people would be responsible enough to represent their ward, which I think is totally distasteful. It is to think that you have to decide, and this is just me saying, whomever is sending me text messages, it was more so around, we have it this way because we don't think people are responsible. So, in a ward, we don't think the people who they choose to represent their ward, they're not responsible enough, so the whole city wants to pick for that ward instead of those people selecting for their ward. Those are the things that I've received in text messages, is that, and I think that part tells us how unfair it is, because I want to be able to choose who sits up here so that I can have the people that I want to see up there, as opposed to who Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And in the petition, there are people from all wards that have said they're for dismantling at-large voting because it's unfair. So that's what I've received, a little different than what, and then I think has been polling even on social media, and ward-based voting blew every other one out of the water when it came to that, because people are starting to become more educated around at-large voting and how it is unfair.
That polling on social media was taken down because a lot of people that were making remarks on there were not from Jacksonville.
And then there was a second one, and that second one did the same thing, and that was actually not those who were not from Jacksonville. So yes, to your point, the first one was.
And I agree with what you're saying,
Go ahead.
that it needs to go on the ballot, but not by us.
Ward, how would you draw them?
Those are already drawn.
Those are, the ward lines, well, the lines of the ward are already drawn. I think even in this, looking at hybrid, and after speaking with many people, I would say ward-based only voting, and so that it's fair across the board, as opposed to hybrid would be the approach that I would take. I don't know if that's what you're asking.
What is it
or
in
not.
front of us?
Because it does get confusing for some.
Would one be bigger than the other?
No, lines have to be drawn. The wards were drawn originally. They were set by the state with dividing the population of the city into as equal portions as can be. That was the whole purpose. The wards originally, the basis of it was to ensure representation from all areas of the city. It wasn't set up or divided by which socioeconomic class lives here, who lives here, who was here. It was taking the map of the population and dividing it evenly across the board, and then ensuring that there were 2 people from every ward to represent, so that as they represented the city, it wasn't all coming from one section here, or 9 from here and 1 from there. It was guaranteeing equal representation from all around the city. That was the basis of the premise with the wards.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I do have 2 points. First point is, want to be sure we're following Robert's Rules of Order and make sure that we're addressing the chair and not individual council members. We want to be sure we're holding on to Robert's Rules of Order. Second thing is, there is a precedent for placing changes of form of government on the ballot. Ordinance 1222, there was an ordinance in 2004 where we changed the terms of the alderman from 2 years to 4 years. So the city council did approve that to be placed on the ballot. So we do have, so there is precedent for that, for the council to approve for an initiative to go on the ballot that does change city government.
Okay. With this discussion now, like I said, this is based on what this ordinance 1793. This is still a discussion that can continue if depending on the outcome here. All right, right, well, if you're calling for, there's not a motion on
When
the.
there's not a motion on
Yeah,
the floor.
we've got to move forward with, is there? Oh, no, that was just for first reading. Next will come a motion to place it on, to approve it on first reading and go to second. All right, all right, we will then entertain a motion then to put ordinance 1793 on, approve ordinance 1793 on first reading and suspend the rules in place on second. Is there a motion?
I make a motion for a
Okay,
motion.
motion, and is there a second?
Second.
All right, roll call, please.
Councilmember Deets.
Nay.
Rupel.
Aye.
McCleary. McCoy.
Aye.
Ray.
No.
LeBron.
Aye.
Moss.
Nay.
Twitty.
Nay.
Kinman.
Nay.
Mims.
Nay.
Motion fails.
Okay, ordinance 1793 is defeated. So then, like I said, this is something that can be still discussed, so in a different form from this motion here. All right, new business. Any new business?
Yes.
Or, Councilor Boyd?
Yes. The forum that was held was very well, I believe, that we had great discussion. The forum that was held, my dates are running together. I've been out of the country for 2 weeks, but I believe it was the 17th or the 19th. One of the things that was brought forward in that forum was cleaning up the city of Jacksonville. So one of the things I'd like for council to look at, since we are at large, is us just taking a look at different wards together and looking at some cleanup in the city. Because that was one of the things that we had several that brought up about how our city needs that attention. And one of the things that I did propose, and McCleary was there as well, is that it takes the community as a whole to work on that and not just relying on our city employees. And after speaking with Madam Clerk, she did inform me they've done this in the past. And what tends to happen is some civic organization or the chamber, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, would start that initiative and then ask the city to join in on that. So something I want us to be thinking about that we can do to help to, of course, make Jacksonville even better.
Yes.
Councilmember McCleary? You're what, or?
Can I get Adam to come up? I just want Adam to talk to me just a little bit about any street overlays. Things I got in mind, is South Oak, maybe
South Road. Our current overlay, so we have bid an overlay for this year and have awarded it. And I need to go back and look, but I believe there's portions of South Road that is on this year's overlay. If you'll get with me tomorrow, I'll make that available to you, and we have it sketched out. So as a matter of fact, that should start anytime. As a matter of fact, the notice to proceed was actually dated July 28th. Now the contractor has not made a presence in town yet, but their time is ticking. So they've got 120 days to complete the overlays.
Do you have like a section that you kind of knew about, or?
Yeah. So I mean, you know, there's several sections. I mean, there's several pieces of the road, and you know, I apologize that I'm not more prepared, but.
I wasn't trying to put you on the spot.
Sure. No, but we did. So, you know, and I put some feelers out, you know, to the council early on, trying to get preparation, and we did get a little feedback on that. Just so you know, since that time, we didn't get this before I had to put it out for bids, but we engaged a contractor to do an assessment. It was a drive-by assessment that they have camera equipment. They literally scan every street in Jacksonville. So they actually drove every street in Jacksonville, and then they prepare, there's a data, you know, a spreadsheet with all this information, and they develop PCI score, a pavement condition index, that scores every street, and it has, in addition to that, they have flagged every pothole that the camera picks up. We've got an entire Google Earth map that shows the conditions, green, yellow, red. So we've now, for the first time, got a full kind of a comprehensive view of our street conditions that we can develop kind of some long-term plans on as far as pavement. So more on that to come. I mean, unfortunately, I didn't have all that data to prepare this year, but I will say we had a pretty good idea. So everything that we did select for the overlay project this year was in the red. What we hope to accomplish with that, knowing that data, is we take a look at those yellow streets, the ones that aren't considered lost, that aren't, okay, they're still got some life in them. They will become lost and require an overlay. We want to get into a preservation mode where we can catch those streets before they absolutely need to be milled and overlaid. If we can spend money, it's much cheaper to spend money in preservation than it is to full-on mill and overlay. So, we hope to be better stewards of our resources, with this data. Now, as a side note, if you're a Google Earth user, Street View, and if you'll get on Google Street View, you'll notice there's very, very recent, that Google Street View, that 3D view, that's the guy that drove for our city. So he was actually able to upload that to Google and stuff. So we have very recent Google Street View images, and it was from the guy we sent to do that. And it was very inexpensive. I've looked at these systems before, and there's companies that want to sell you, they basically are selling you a software package and do all this data analysis. And it's quite expensive. It's good data. This was a partnership from a doctor at the University of Arkansas and one of the asphalt chemical suppliers come up with this program. So it's not it actually uses just an Excel spreadsheet, Google Earth, and a just simple viewer. So all these things are tied together, so you can literally see the vehicle driving along. As it's driving along, it tracks it on Google Street View, and it's in the spreadsheet. You can see this data. It's really neat. So it's very inexpensive. It already uses software that we have, I'm familiar with. It's a neat program. I plan to do a presentation on it at some point in time, but when we get closer to the next year's overlay, showing you what the data is. Sorry, that was a whole lot more than this South Road is going to get paved. So, yeah. And just real quick, I want to touch base on the cleanup. So I read the article about the forum and stuff, and while they've never done it, in the 3 years I've been here, Mr. Watkin, my assistant director, he has been part of, the Jacksonville cleanup, citywide cleanup in the past. And so he is familiar with that. The county will actually, if there is a community sponsored event, the county will actually, through the solid waste district, will provide some roll-off dumpsters and things like that to assist. And we certainly will make our trucks and stuff available for that as well.
We appreciate that, and I did receive a text that Keep Arkansas Beautiful cleanups as well. They will provide supplies, spring and fall sign up. So fall sign up for that is going on now. So that's also something we can look into. So thank you for that.
Sure.
So Adam, I got a question on.
Absolutely.
When they do the work, and there's a couple areas in Foxwood, I know there were some big old holes, they did the work. I don't think it was us, but I think it was somebody else because we had some lines. Who's responsible for that in less than a year when the roads are doing this and they're caving back in? That should be the contractor's responsibility, right?
Oh, for like utility work within the right of ways and stuff?
No, I'm talking about in the middle of the street in Foxwood where that ditch was and it busted. And I got stopped yesterday about 3 times, and it's a roller coaster coming in there, and that road was just redone probably a year and a half ago.
So you're talking about when a contractor does an overlay. There is a warranty period. Now those specifically, we did not administer that contract. That contract was actually awarded by the state. It was part of the state aid project, and so we we don't have as much control as like our annual overlay. So our annual overlay, we can control the inspections and the administrator of the contract. That one was administered by the state. We essentially, they award us $300,000. They design it, they bid it,
That says it all.
they administer it, and we have very little say on it. But also it's given to us for free too. So.
Well, it's no good, free's not any good if it
No.
doesn't do what it's supposed
Yeah.
to do, but they should be held responsible, just like the way they're doing our city right now. And,
Right.
we keep our stuff maintained and talking about people coming in and they don't think they have to.
Right.
That's not right for them to come in and do what they're doing, locking everything up. I mean, we got ordinances, they need to follow them. And I think we ought to be writing letters and letting them know, I mean, behind Second Baptist in that one area, you can't even see anything, they've got things jumped up. And I'm very disappointed and I've written letters and talked to them. But I think we need to try to follow up. If they're gonna come in and tear stuff up,
Yeah.
they need to fix it. Leave it like it
Now,
is.
if you're
They want us to.
if you're speaking about utility companies that come in and
this
do
is not
work,
utilities. Highway department's done all that. They blocked
Oh,
up
okay.
some of them roads there. They cut the road there over by Walmart. You can't even see to get out of that one area when they're trying to turn out of that area that there where the shopping center is.
Right.
I mean, it's dangerous. And, they need to be responsible for what they do, and I don't know how we can make them, and then they leave everything. I mean, the grass is 6 foot high. They
Yeah.
got piles everywhere. They're making our city look awful.
Yeah.
And-
do what? It is state stuff. It's part of the state project. So we have limited say. I mean, we do have some say, but it's more from a coordination standpoint. Kip Guthrie is kind of the resident engineer. He's actually not with RDOT, but he's been appointed. He works for a engineering company that's been appointed by RDOT as the resident engineer oversee. So Kip is pretty good to communicate with us. Now he won't. We basically relay concerns. He passes it up to the RDOT, and they decide. So we don't really have a decision in it, but we can put some pressure on them somewhat.
I think then we need to write a letter, all of us, to the city council, Stephanie, let's write a letter and explain our concerns.
Yeah.
They'll answer them.
And I think,
I'm being honest.
yeah, and I think be as specific as you can. I mean, because I get a lot of general complaints, and it's hard for me to relay sometimes if I don't, hey, they're not happy with the work. What specifically are they not happy? So the more specific we can get, the more location we can get. For example, we did get them to add some sidewalk to the project on Northwest. They wasn't intended on continuing the sidewalk down. So look, y'all just awarded a sidewalk project that was put here a few years ago that Bond Engineering done, and they reached out and said, why isn't RDOT continuing that? And so, we relayed that concern, and I mean, within 2 days, they were actually forming up the sidewalk. So,
Hey, I'm good.
yeah, so I will say they
Someone's here, they work for us. We pay them, the state gets paid by us.
Right.
And I think they need to get our city back in shape here pretty quick.
Yeah.
And going towards that, they will, when it's all said and done, and as we're getting closer approaching completion date, it will be. It's just, there's limited as to what can be done now, because you would clean it up and then they mess it up again with another part of the same project, so. Councilor McCleary.
Mayor, can we get them to get on the highway cleanup? Would they do that for us?
They will do what they can within reason. We can ask. As Adam said, Mr. Guthrie has been very cooperative, and they've done it well. When we have made special requests, there have been times where the grass and weeds and so forth have been very tall in certain spots, and we've asked them to go clean it up, and they have. They've gotten on it. Literally, in one case, it was almost within hours. They were out there and working on it, so.
That's good. I'm glad they're listening.
Yeah. The debris on the highway, that's a little different, but we can always ask.
We have passed along concerns. Like Military Road is a prime example. Going out east of town, Military Road, that embankment gets a lot of trash, but it's a very dangerous embankment to be for people to be picking up trash on the side of the road too. So it's very, very steep. It's very close to the road, but man, does it need it. So that's a different area of RDOT we do communicate with on a pretty regular basis with the maintenance division in District 6. But yeah, you see a big area of concern, I will absolutely pass that on, and more support we can get, the better.
Thank you, Adam.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, just that went longer than I thought. Back to Councilmember McCoy's about cleanup along with Mr. McClary. I got a text yesterday, communication with one of the Jacksonville Parks and Rec newest employee, and she's the events new events coordinator of some sort, but she couldn't be here tonight. She had other obligations to showcase the city. But I plan to bring her at our next meeting, introduce her role, what she does, and when she took that job, there was already a date on the calendar from Parks and Rec that was a citywide cleanup. So I think we all should look forward to working with her in that new position, and us try to get some of our people from our certain wards out to clean up certain areas and tie in with the citywide with the other resources that you have, CDBG. Just everybody come together. And so I'll plan to bring her next and let her talk about that more while her and Kevin can both be here.
Councilmember McCoy, you had something.
The NAACP does clean up on Graham Road the second Saturday of every month. It's coming up this Saturday starting at 9 a.m. So all are invited to come out and assist them, but they've adopted that. And I think that would be a good practice if we could get people to adopt a street, a road, or somewhere so that we can, just look at taking better care of our city. So just wanted to offer that. But thank you, NAACP, for what you do on Graham Road.
Yes, thank you.
Also, I want to say something on that right there. That was mentioned to me that we have signs, saying this road has been adopted by, and I don't know how old some of those signs are. It doesn't look like whoever those people were at one time that were adopted those roads may not have been. Is there any way that we can even look up who those people are, if they're even still around? And then if we could
Yes.
update our signs, if somebody like the NAACP has adopted a road, can we not update those?
Yeah.
That sign is there.
That one is?
Yeah, yeah, and we just recently had a circumstance where we took a sign down because it hadn't been done in
Okay.
years. And the person,
Oh,
the
yeah.
person called us, said, "Why did you take my sign?" I said, I think we actually have a requirement that it's supposed to be done quarterly for your sign to stay up. We're generally more lenient than that, if you make an effort, once a year, twice a year. But we have our sign and signal form, and Kevin Cole tries his best to keep up with that. And if someone's not following through on their adopted street, we do take their sign down.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And we encourage, there's streets to be adopted yet. So coordinate with the engineering office and we can get you set up on the program.
Thank you, Adam. All right, moving on. Out of new and old business, we have one person this evening who has asked to come speak to council. Mr. Redmond, Wendell Redmond, if you come up, you can go to the table there if you'd like to, the speaker, the microphone there. And when you get there, please tell us, introduce yourself, who you are and where you live, and why you're addressing council, please.
Yeah, I'm gonna be brave and walk over there. Before somebody comes to me.
We'd be glad to take your time.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for allowing me to address the council and the citizens of Jacksonville. Jacksonville is very dear to me. I've been here we came here in '72, and we've lived here since and retired from the Air Force. But I am bringing this item to your attention because it's something that's bothersome. It's something that all of you will have to face sooner or later if things keep going as they are. I'm bringing this to your attention since it's easily occurred, and it can easily occur in your area as well as mine. Workmen began boring and digging and installing underground cables and leaving piles of debris, the mud, the dirt, the rocks, and bits and pieces. On or about mid-July, they were digging new cables in on my street, Oak Ridge Drive. Nobody knew who was doing the digging, what the cables were for. We surmised that it was something like Brightspeed was starting to company to put in cables, but we found out it was not. But they worked and dug and dug and dug. I have 2 holes in my lawn right by the curb. One is about 4 feet deep now and it's about 2 feet across, and the other is about half the size. But this is in not just my yard, my lawn, but in the lawns along the street, and you can see where they have been. There's one, as a matter of fact, across the street that has a cable coming up out of the ground, and it's a thick, it must be as round as my arm, and it's leaning out over the curb, and it looks like a snake about to strike something. It leans out about 2 feet into the street, and the rocks and the dirt are still stacked where they are. In the areas where they have tried to, quote, amend and put the hay over it, that the hay has blown away or is scattered across yards. And this started in early July. And on about the 25th of July, they stopped. On the 26th, the machinery was gone, the workmen were gone, the piles of dirt and debris remained. And I went to City Hall to find out what was going on. I sent emails to my representatives and they rapidly responded. And I made 4 trips. I don't know if I had to make 4 trips, but I think they got tired of seeing me coming as I got out of my car. But nevertheless, I went up there each day until I got some response. And the public works people there, they didn't know any more than I did. They said they would have to try to find out. And I couldn't quite grasp that. Why did they not know what was going on so far as the streets being torn apart or whatever? But that's another thing. But I eventually found out through Public Works that Entergy is the agency that's responsible for tearing up our property. And this morning, I got a call from Entergy saying that they had, quote, received my complaint and they would get back to me. I will get back to you, Trick. And that leaves the door open so far as getting something done. When people tell you that, I'll be back to you, it just doesn't work. And the point I'm trying to make here is that if it happened in my street, it could happen in yours, or yours, or yours. And it's something that has to be bird dogged, because there are no regulations, as far as I know, that anybody has that says in order to do work like this, you must first, A, go to City Hall, or B, go to this person, and B, so that if there is a fault, we can backtrack easily and find out where the problem is. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, and I thank my 2 representatives for responding to my email.
Mr. Raymond, the reason why you said Public Works didn't know, Adam was out of town.
Yes,
and
I know.
He would have known to get that answer for you at that time. So, Adam, do you want to say anything about this?
I'll address. And first of all, I want to say, absolutely, we didn't get tired of seeing him.
No, okay, right.
He's still welcome to come out of the office.
And Mr. Raymond, I can assure you this, is not the only one. I've called Adam multiple times when different people have been digging through our city and making a mess of yards. in my neighborhood, it was the same way, and I mean, I've had
But
cable down in our, I mean, it's.
This one though,
but-
when everything quit and it disappeared. I mean,
Yes.
there's not a person in sight, there's not
Adam, was
machine in sight, they're just gone.
Yeah.
was that an active site? Had they pulled a permit?
They,
or
they had not,
contacted?
and that's to address them. I don't guess he and I had ever spoken. So no, we, just so the council knows, we do have a fairly robust permitting process. As one of the things I did when I got here, we used to just have a simple street cut permit. I've kind of modeled our revised permit after RDOT's, and it's called a right-of-way construction permit. So basically, any franchisee of the city who distributes their service or network through our rights of way in construction, I mean, they're supposed to pull a permit anytime they're working on or excavating in the right of way. I mean, we're probably most familiar with the recent fiber optic expansion of several networks. So that's what we thought was going on here. So first, one of the reasons we didn't know is Energy did not pull a permit. I mean, so if they don't participate in our permit system, they don't follow our rules, we unfortunately don't know. So when he first approached, so our admin assistant, I mean, she emailed all the normal culprits, which is all our fiber people, and none of them knew. So through the process of calling one call and finding out who had called the one call in, we did learn that it was Entergy, and I shared that information on. I also sent the engineering rep that we communicate with a lot. I made him aware. I said, "Are you aware that we have a permitting process that that you must pull a permit to do this?" He did not respond to me, so I probably need to get with your office, Mayor, and maybe have Michelle reach out to Barbara Merrick and just to make that clear, because we had that issue happen about a year ago or so with Summit. That they thought they had a standing bond and that they didn't have to get a permit. I said, no, we want to work with you. I understand your gas, you got emergencies and stuff. I said, but you still got to pull a permit. If nothing else, for information purposes. We get calls like this, I mean, several calls daily, probably behind sanitation calls. This is the most calls I get regarding who's digging in my yard. And so we want to know. We want to say, okay, there's been a permit pulled by this, and they got to follow these set of rules, and they got to replace it back. One of the things, could this permit be better? Sure, probably. We'd probably be good to have a working session on this to talk about the criteria, under which they get. The timing is of course the one this gentleman's concerned about. The start in July. I mean, we've had some that have dug and sat there a lot longer than that. We certainly don't want that. There certainly should be some key performance indicators that we can hold these guys standards to. We essentially now we want to know who they are, why they're doing it, if they've got an active franchise agreement with the city, and then then the cleanup needs to be to our standards. It needs to be put back like it was, whether that be sod or appropriate seed and mulch. That's really the big criteria we look at now. There's probably a timing element we should consider as well, if construction activity ceases for so many days. But yeah, so we try our best to hold the contractors accountable, but if we don't know who they are, it's kind of tough.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Adam.
All right, and with that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move.
All right, we're adjourned.
Wendell Redmond. I don't know.